Ready? Kick. Kick. Let's do this. People always say, don't assume the worst.
You excited?
Yeah.
Is it a boy or girl?
We don't know. Sometimes the worst is exactly what you should assume.
So my wife is in the hospital. She's about to give birth.
Drive.
This is a family emergency.
I'm your family emergency now.
Whatever it is that you want, it's yours.
Is this the wife?
David, where are you?
I mean, are you happy? You and your wife have a happy marriage?
Stay away from my family.
That's rude. You interrupting me. Don't.
You know what I don't need tonight?
Stress. Let's just make wise decisions. Watch the speed limit.
Where are we going?
You're not listening to me. I will shoot you.
And this cop!
I told you not to speed. We should play a little game. I want you to tell me the truth. If you don't, I am gonna kill Mr. Happy Trucker and this waitress. Ready? Tick, tick.
You got me confused with someone else.
Really?
I'm not who you think I am.
I never even told you who I think you are, so how could you know you're not who I think you are? Tick, 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 tick! Sit back down!
It's getting good. Oh. I'm not gonna die tonight. I dressed up for this. I wanted to be 100% sex tonight, and you cut that in half. I'm now 50% sex. People tend to think the more violent the death, the higher to heaven you go. Better to rain in hell. Wouldn't you agree? Pick up the phone, James. What are you, ghosting me? What are you, Dr. Ross, my psychiatrist?
Hi, Val. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. Nick is back here in a few spots.
This is a great room. I'm just examining your
Thank you.
setup here.
It is a representation of the inside of my brain.
Exactly. That's what it looks like.
Well, I have a lot of questions. I don't have you for very long. I love the movie. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Oh, perfect.
I have to say your song choices were on point,
Thank
especially
you.
considering I'm a Dracula fan, and there's a specific song in the movie that you chose that I love. At
Oh yeah,
first
which one?
bite.
Which one are you talking about?
But the I love the nightlife. Thank you for
Oh my God, right?
it's so
My
great.
God, that was Nick's idea. We wanted to go with something 70s, like whatever, and suddenly he sent it to me. He said, what about this? I can really, jig with this one, and it was like, great. He said, I'm going to, I'm going to go get me this one. And of course, getting it was very difficult, but we did it. We had to clear it before we actually shot it. And we did, so it was.
I wonder if that's residual from playing Dracula, because that was in Love at First Bite. That was the first time I ever heard that song. And
Right.
I thought it was that was just chef's kiss.
Right.
But my first question really is, this film is almost entirely two people in a car.
Yes. Not in
And
a car, but two people.
two people, right? And a lot of it in the car. But I was curious what a challenge that is for you as a director, and also for the actors to just it really being them. It's almost like a play, like a stage play almost.
Yes. We said it. It's like a cinematic stage play, in a way, because we got the opportunity shooting in an LED stage, the drivings, and having them in the diner sitting down. That sometimes they would do 6, 7, 8 pages of dialogue straight, which you almost never do in a movie. Like, it's tons of dialogue, and Nick was going like straight, and he was always bitching about having too much text in the beginning. It was like, oh my God, there's too many lines, I won't know it, there's not enough time, I can't do it, it's too much dialogue, whatever. And then he just knew everything by heart, like, you know what I mean, like as if, you know, it was like so amazing. We literally did it like a play sometimes. And I felt that it really helps because we had 2 cameras most of the time, and we really just let them go and, you know, interact with each other. And I thought that was one of the big advantages of this setup, that it's just these 2 guys, and that you don't have a lot of location. I mean, there's in the car we have like about a third of the film. It looks like more, I know, also in the script level, but it's about a third, 35%. Then there is the diner, and then there is outside in Vegas, you know. Outside night. So also the look is very specific, you know, the red, the black,
Well,
you know, the fire, like that.
yeah, and that was one thing that was my second question was color is almost another character in this movie.
Yeah.
And I loved the way you had Nick in all red almost, and like the dark side, and then Joel had these light colors and how that played, as well as the fire and all of that, just beautifully done.
Yeah. The fire is a nightmare. It's so hard to do. I never done something like this, and it's like so hard. Like if you light it up, you shoot a few minutes, then you have to put it down. You have smoke, you have to wait for the smoke. You want to do a setup, you have to light it up again. It looks different. You don't have smoke. It's crazy how to shoot it, you know. And,
well, and I was curious, you know, with the fire, because I've been on a set visit before where they were doing crazy flamethrower things. How is that for the actors too? Because you're in Vegas as well. I'm assuming this was all outside, not.
Yeah, it was all outside. I mean, the actors, it was, except for one shot, there's this one shot that they're going next to this burning trailer, that like people started freaking out because the trailer was really burning and they were really walking next to it. And I was doing a take, and it was like, okay, another take as it's burning. And then at some point the producer's like, no, we can't have any takes, the actors. And I'm like, don't stop me, I still didn't get it. And we start screaming at each other, and the actors just go to do another take. And it's like, and that was the only one that people got freaked out because they were afraid stuff would start blowing up next to them, you know. But it was all real. There was no, you know, it was just like, we just, you know, lighted stuff up, you know, in this in Henderson, in like this suburb of Vegas at night. It was pretty crazy.
Well, and the other part of that, like the 2 natures of good and evil sort of represented here. I loved the revenge versus redemption and the title, how it plays.
Yes.
I'm trying to keep it as spoiler free as possible.
Yes.
But I really loved how that played out and how it was perfect poetry almost to the story. Can you talk about that plot line, the plot lines? As I know I don't want to spoil the movie for people.
How do we do that without spoil? I mean, I was like, there's something that there's a kind of a mythology to it, that there's this guy, and Joel did a brilliant job kind of disappearing into this very normal seeming guy, like living a very normal life, that suddenly there's a knock from this character that seems to come from another dimension, you know. Not in a supernatural cheesy horror way, just like in a Milton way, like I came, or in a way that you get from I've seen stuff in life. I'm not from this world. I come from a different world of suffering or whatever it is. And he's like a Joker also. And he comes, and he's coming like the past personifies knocking at your door, you know. And that's kind of, so it's kind of like a myth, you know. And then the guy says, no, it's not me. You're wrong. It's not my past. You know what I mean? And then you slowly see that things are not what you think, you know. Again, I don't want to spoil, but like.
Well, and I love the way, kind of going back to color, but also what you said about the mythology and almost the Joker, with the way you shot Nick Cage with he stands out. Already he stands out because he's Nick Cage, but the way you shot him and his look was so stark in contrast to everything else. Like he just popped. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also, the fact that he chose this red hair and red jacket, and, you know, he just, you know, the look is great. He just like, you know, there's something about it that the thought was that the guy is like, and that was kind of how I saw it, and I was always laughing that he's like a Vegas entertainer also. It's like when he comes out, if you remember, there's this fire in the diner, he starts lighting shit on fire, and he comes out. To me, it seemed to me like, I was always telling Nick, it seems to me like he's saying, we have a great show for you tonight, like that's really what he's doing, he's kind of playing it out.
Well, and that kind of talking about the diner scene, which that scene is probably like the best movie scene in history. I freaking love that whole entire thing. He just is hilarious and crazy, and just poor Joel Kinnaman, just what's he gonna do? He's just like,
right.
It just was so great. I was curious how you'd said that he picked the song. How much of that was improvised on set, just him being insane, or was that in the script?
There was already in the script. The script was great. It had some of the dark humor that kind of gave us the tonality. Then Nick took it to the next level, in the sense that some of it in the rehearsals, he would change lines, he would change lines, he would ask to change lines. Sometimes we would we had to fight about lines, but in a way, he brought a lot for the rehearsal. And then on the set itself, he, especially after takes, like he would do in the set, once we settle on the dialogue in the rehearsals, he would do the dialogue, but he would, when you finish the scene, I learned not to say cut immediately, and to see if he has stuff he wants to try, and he would start going now. And I also saw that if I don't say cut, he doesn't stop. He'll just do, sometimes it was painful for him, and he just wouldn't stop because the director didn't say cut. So it was like, he would like push and try and start doing crazy stuff. And sometimes I would just laugh behind the monitor. He would do something, and I would laugh like my ass off behind him. And he would be like, and he would be like, egg them on, he would see me laughing, and he would be like, oh, that's good, right? Yeah, do that more. And he would just go and just make stuff up. Also telling you need to protect me. So, if I go too far, you don't put it in. And yes, we understand each other. So it was great. It was like a one of a kind experience.
That's fantastic. I'd be hard pressed to tell him to stop, because it's
exactly.
just keep going, man.
No, but at some point it was funny. He would just, I learned that if I don't, he would never stop himself. Like he would, let's say he does a scene, and then he would start saying, oh, da da da, and he would start to say a line, and he would try to improvise and this. And if I don't say cut, he would continue until it's painful for him. Like at some point you have to say cut, so he stopped, because he wouldn't, like other actors would turn to me and say, okay, I'm done. He would not do that. Until you said cut, he would not stop. And then at some point you would say, okay, like it's fine, don't kill yourself. But he would really push these ideas and these thoughts and whatever, that sometimes you had to just, okay, we got it, it's fine,
Well, and Joel was just amazing too. Like he just, there were shots of him that just, he looked tortured, in like his eyes and everything too. He just, there were just two really amazing performances there that you got out of him, and just beautifully done. Wonderful film.
Yeah, thank you. Joel was amazing. He was so quietly charismatic, and holding the whole thing together, and being like us, looking at Nick in some way, and then switching to what he needs to switch to, and his whole arc. Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, and so my last question before I lose you is, I just have to ask about Nick Cage in Las Vegas and the love affair with between the two of them, because it seems like he keeps coming back. I know he has a home there, but he just keeps coming back to Vegas, and it seems like it works, especially in this film where you have him in that neon light.
Yes, it's perfect for the film. The film was actually written for New York in the winter with snow, a lot of description of snow in the film, whatever, blizzard covering the, like that kind of stuff. But it was about, like, we needed to get him, we needed to do it in Vegas. His wife was about to give birth. He said, I can't go anywhere, I'll do it if it's here. That it's not easy to shoot in Vegas because they don't have an incentive. So actually, again, the producers had to really step in and take risks that producers typically don't take in order to make the film in Vegas. you know, because if you go to Georgia or to New Orleans,
You get the tax
you
incentives.
get like $1 million more from the state, and in Vegas you don't, or you get a little bit. They have a little bit, but not enough, or not comparable to the other ones. So shooting in Vegas was great for the film. It was very hard for production, but eventually they pulled it off. The producers, Alex Lebovici, the producer, and Alan Unger and the gang. So
Amazing.
It was,
Well, sir,
and I
this
loved
was
it.
it was great. It was just
Yeah.
beautifully done. I loved it. Again, thank you for giving us a character like these, well, two characters that are just really haunted and amazing.
Yeah.
Really great job, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.